Well, hello, Mr. O here. And today we're going to transition our mannequin into just a basic human form. In the previous video, I kind of showed you these sketches. I start off with a mannequin and then I just kind of go into some generic forms. And you can make them into anything they want. Do mannequins have some sort of gender? Yeah, some of them do actually. They make them that way, but does it matter which type mannequin you have? Absolutely not. You make it into anything. So you can look at this and say it looks more masculine, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to make it into a more feminine mannequin, and or you can just go totally gender neutral with it, where you're just doing some sort of clone body that can go either direction. Now, this was the pencil I was using. As you can see, like for my art students, they're going to be using regular pencils that I'm going to teach them how to sharpen this without using a blade. I have some special sharpeners, and I kind of forgot to bring that with me. And I do have a Band-Aid on my finger because I was cutting it up real bad. So these are probably like $12 in a set, but you get a lot of cool mechanical pencils. This was a much cheaper one. When I was first looking for them, it was very expensive, and this was kind of a cheapie that was like $3. And you just push, and it's a gravity feed. As you can see, it's not as nice as the other one. You got to kind of pull it, where this gravity, see how it just drops and you can feed it back in. So that's what makes these nicer versus the cheap one. But whatever you got, you can use regular pencils. Don't ever sweat, and don't ever be embarrassed by your supplies. No true artist should or will make fun of you for that. So I'm just going to turn my mannequin into a clone body. I call it clone body because you can make them into anybody. And so what I'm going to do is just remember my basic shapes of the human body. I might just add some eye guidelines. So think of your guidelines, and don't worry if you don't know them. I'm not going to make that mistake of assuming again. And I'm just going to go. Now, what I really going to struggle with you if you don't know this is like muscle structure and some anatomy. You've got, I can, I'm stuttering there. It would take many videos to kind of really teach you proper anatomy, so don't worry if you don't really know it. And so just go with what you do know. As you can see, I'm changing the fingers up a little bit, and don't worry if you're not very good with them. And that way, I'm using the shapes, and you can see not everything is going to be perfect. If I drew something a little too long, it could definitely throw me off. So I'm looking at this, and I realize this was actually a little much longer than it should have been. But that's okay. As you can see, it's not by much. And I can actually use the shapes to kind of do fingers and stuff like that. And I can go back in later if I want to get a little more realistic. And this is what we're just practicing. Finding our midlines, finding our hips, joining everything with curves versus straight lines. And now what some of the drawing will just fit in perfectly. It's that heel of the mannequin that I never like. But what do you do when you draw something a little too thin? You just make it thicker. If you drew something too thick, you make it thinner. I hope this kind of makes sense. You're probably thinking this was going to be a lot more complex, and it really wasn't. Now, I will show you something that I do that just makes things a little more interesting. And that is, if I go back to my original, you see I start making movements of the arms. So if I take my mannequin and I maybe raise the arm up, I'll just start doing light when I draw the mannequin shapes, I try to go much lighter than I was doing originally. So I don't know what is coming through the video and what isn't. And as you can see, I just start adding limbs at first. And then I'll just start adding heads and stuff like that, just to make kind of a cool picture. And is it one being with all these multiple limbs or anything? No, it's just, I mean, it could be. And then as I kind of draw, if you struggle with hands and stuff, make fists. And I should make one with fists. And like I said, I can do extra head here, just coming. It's almost like movement is so fast. And then actually when I sketch, I'm using the shapes of the mannequin, but it's a hybrid of both shape and and this is where I'm going with the fist. So as you can see some of the points of the mannequin, but it's leaning, it's starting to evolve towards just sketching human proportions. And notice the length, because now I'm going to start turning things, I'm going to start twisting things, and if you start leaning forward, you know, your arm goes down further, and that's important to do, okay? So I hope this kind of makes sense. And guys, this is good practice. This is good to start practicing human motion and stuff like that. And yes, when I do comic book stuff, I do the line stuff and the center line. But this is kind of that balance in between. Some of you are out there not interested in drawing manga and comic book stuff. You want to draw realistic stuff, and this is a good way to do it. This is a good way to use your mannequins. They're not just there to collect dust. How many of you have let your mannequins collect dust? I have, and I'll probably do a video, probably not soon, but I should do one on the Figma figures, especially about taking good care of them. Even I have accidentally broke them and trying to switch out the hands and stuff. Those are the ones that look a little more realistic to people. And guys, never forget this. You are important and you mean something to somebody, okay? I know sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but never forget that. Have a great day, guys. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It does help the channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.